Okay, hello everyone. First, I want to share some information about how we're managing our meeting today. We currently have all participants' audio muted until our question and answer session. For video, you'll be free to open your video in these first few minutes so other ducks can see you, and video will then be turned off until we go into our question and answer. For question and answer, please type your questions as you think of them in the chat box. During the Q&A session, you'll get a private notification to unmute and ask your question that you typed in earlier. So thank you everyone for coming. I want to warmly welcome you all from Eugene, a place that is home for some of us and a past or current home away from home for others. I know for some of you it's Friday night and for others it's Saturday morning. And either way, you've made a space in your weekend for us. So for that, we are really grateful. My name is Katie Jo Walter, and I am the International Alumni Digital Engagement Manager at the University of Oregon. I am joined by my fellow UO engagement team members, Caitlin Elwood and Lauren Barkley, who will be assisting with today's meeting. University of Oregon International Alumni Engagement is working to connect UO faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends to build a global Ducks community, actively supporting one another through knowledge sharing, personal and professional networking, alumni involvement in UO study abroad programming, formal and informal international events, and more. We want to make it easier for all Ducks to succeed while celebrating being part of the UO family. Today's session is supported by the Japan chapter of the University of Oregon Alumni Association and TrackTown USA. Japan boasts the largest and longest standing international chapter of the UO Alumni Association. The Japan Ducks represent over 2,000 former University of Oregon students, with the majority residing in and around Tokyo. In addition to a monthly Japanese language newsletter, the chapter convenes an annual meeting each summer. The event reconnects University of Oregon alumni and friends to each other for networking and socializing, while updating attendees on current happenings at the UO. TrackTown USA Incorporated is a nonprofit organization committed to setting a standard of excellence in the sports of track and field and running by hosting premier events, creating a supportive environment for elite athletic performances, improving facilities, being a leader in sustainability, and inspiring the next generation of track and field athletes and fans. The organization is responsible for organizing the 2014 IAAF World Junior Championships, the 2015 USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships, the 2016 IAAF World Indoor Championships in Portland, the 2016 US Olympic Team Trials Track and Field, 2021 US Olympic Trials Track and Field, and the 2022 IAAF World Championships. Today's session seeks to offer a view into the ways planning has evolved for both the US Track and Field Olympic Trials in Eugene and the Olympic Games in Tokyo. Our esteemed guests will share possibilities around how events will take place, letting fans who are unable to attend know how they can still be a part of these historic competitions. However, before we get started with our program, today we'll first be taking a moment to remember John Atsushi Kageyama, who earned his MBA at the University of Oregon in 1958. We recently learned that Mr. Kageyama passed away last month. Mr. Kageyama was not only the founder of the Japan chapter of the UO Alumni Association and a guiding light for the Japan Ducks, especially in the Osaka region. He was also a dear friend to many at the UO and a strong supporter of several programs and projects. I would like to invite Mr. Takuya Kuronuma, the current president of the University of Oregon Alumni Association Japan chapter, to say a few words about Mr. Kageyama. Takuya-san will then pass things over to Dennis Galvan, UO's Dean and Vice Provost of Global Engagement, who will share his own message and lead us in observing 1 minute of silence. Takuya-san?
Okay, thank you very much, Katie. Thank you very much, everyone. I didn't want to start this event in this way, but Japan Ducks recently lost a huge mentor last month. So I've known Kageyama-san for 20 years since I graduated from University of Oregon. Mr. Kageyama, as you see the picture, he is very charming, gentle, but he's very, very energetic and active. And he really loves our university so much. Not only did his contribution to the University of Oregon, but he had built foundation of Japanese manufacturing industries to compete in the global market throughout his career at Panasonic in Japan, Iran, Middle East, and the United States. So on behalf of Japan DAX communities, I would like to thank all the Kageyama-san did for us. We promise to heritage his DAX spirit, to keep challenging and contribute, make a better world for tomorrow. So now I'd like to pass and invite Dennis to introduce his contribution to the university. So Dennis, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Takuya-san, and thank you, Katie Jo, and everyone at International Alumni Engagement and TrackTown and the Japan Ducks for organizing this event. On behalf of President Michael Schill and Provost Patrick Phillips and myself personally, we want to share the institutional remembrance and honor and regrets for the passing of John Atsushi Kageyama, who was, as Takuya-san said, a great friend of the University of Oregon. He first came here to do his MBA in the middle 1950s after getting 3 degrees at Doshiso University, and came as a Fulbright scholar, in the first wave of post-war Fulbright scholars from Japan. And he made a big impact on this campus as an MBA student. He made a big impact in the Pacific Northwest, and as Takuya-san said, around the world as a business leader. He was also really committed to US-Japan cooperation. And in my many trips to Tokyo, we talked a lot, and to Osaka, we talked quite a bit about the ways that we could extend his legacy. He, as many of you may know, made a huge contribution to Japan-US friendship by bringing a great number of Japanese cherry blossom trees to Vancouver, Washington, where he was a plant manager at a certain point in his career. And it's that permanent legacy of those trees, of those blossoms every spring, that I think we will all look back on when we remember Mr. Kageyama, when we remember what he did for the University of Oregon, how he founded the Japan Alumni Association, and really was its guiding light for so many decades. So together with all of us here, I'd like just to remember Mr. Kageyama, a great friend, a great leader, and a great alumnus, and a duck who we will deeply miss. And please join me in a moment of about a minute of silence in his remembrance. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Chapter President Karonimo and Dean and Vice Provost Galvan. John Kageyama will be missed greatly, and we will continue to cherish the legacy he has left as well. For now, we will share our program agenda. Before going to our guests, we will make a short visit to Hayward Field at the University of Oregon. Knowing that many of you in attendance were excited to be some of the first to visit Hayward Field for the Olympic Trials in 2020, we're going to share an exclusive video sneak peek into the Hayward Field fan experience. Next, I will introduce our esteemed guests. We will then go to our guests for their respective presentations. After that, there will be about 10 minutes of Q&A, followed by our Hayward Field book giveaway by University of Oregon Alumni Association's Executive Director, Mr. Raifback. Only those who were present will be able to win one of the 3 copies we're giving away of Hayward Field Legends and Legacy, a hardback 140-page photographic history of Hayward Field from 1919 to 2020. Finally, we'll conclude the meeting by sharing a beautiful video from the Japan Ducks of last month's cherry blossoms. So now, without further ado, let's see what awaits all of us fans who are ready to attend events at Hayward Field at the University of Oregon. This content was exclusive to the program and is not yet available for public viewing. We now return you to the rest of the recorded program. So of course, this makes us all the more excited to hear from our guests and learn about plans for upcoming events. So now I would like to introduce today's speakers. We have joining us today top decision makers from both sides of the Pacific. We have already heard from Mr. Takuya Kuronuma, who graduated from UO in 2000. He is current president of the University of Oregon Alumni Association Japan chapter. He is currently head of global supply chain at NSK Global. Takuya-san will be interviewing our next guest, Mr. Takeshi Nakamura, who graduated from UO in 2001. He is an assembly member of Tokyo's Shibuya Ward. And for the Eugene perspective, we have Michael Reilly, CEO of TrackTown USA. I would like to extend a warm welcome and thanks for joining us to our speakers. We can only imagine how busy your schedule must have been for several months, and it means a lot to us that you've taken the time to be here with the UO community today. Before handing things over to Michael Reilly, I would like to take a moment to set some expectations around today's presentations and discussion. In a time when COVID-19 continues to make planning difficult, requiring coordination across numerous national and local public and private stakeholders, it's important to understand that many questions about how things will unfold will be tentative and conditional. We acknowledge that there's a wide range of opinions about what should happen with these events and how communities should continue to protect themselves against COVID-19. However, this event is about information sharing and there will be not much time for lengthy debate. We will ask attendees to keep their questions and comments in the spirit of kindness, mutual education, and respect in our community of ducks, where everyone is valued. As a reminder, you will need to type your questions in the chat box during the discussion, and we will call upon you when it's time for Q&A, inviting you to unmute and ask your question at the appropriate time. If you would rather have our team share your question rather than unmuting yourself, please note that in the chat. And with that, Michael Reilly, I'd like to hand it over to you. Welcome and thanks for joining us.
Great, thank you very much. I wrote down a big note here after watching that video to try to lower my adrenaline level. Because the video and those great comments from those former Duck athletes really has gotten me very excited. And I'm really excited to share with you some of what you can expect with the Olympic trials coming in June. And perhaps to set a bit of context, this is a great audience to be able to speak to about this, because really the University of Oregon is going to be the center of the sporting world's attention over the next 14 months. Here's what's coming down the road for the University of Oregon. First of all, the beautiful venue, Hayward Field, is coming online. There's been some great events this spring hosted by the University of Oregon track and field program, but the month of June is really going to unveil this beautiful new stadium to the world. On June 9th through the 12th, the University of Oregon is going to host the Ncaa Track and Field Championships. And I'm not sure that I need to tell this audience that the University of Oregon men's and women's track and field program is the #1 program in the NCAA. The week after that, June 18th through the 27th, the venue is going to roll over and start hosting the Olympic trials. And the Olympic trials is going to select the world's #1 track and field team. Team USA is projected once again to win the medal count in Tokyo. And then the week after the Olympic trials, on June 30th through July 3rd, the high school national championships are coming to Hayward Field. So the very best high school athletes from all over the United States, those future stars of the sport, are going to get an opportunity for the first high school competition at Hayward Field this year. It's going to be fantastic. And then we're going to send all those great track and field athletes, not only from the United States, but all over the world, to Tokyo for what is going to be a spectacular and amazing Olympic Games. But just a few weeks after that, and all those athletes have won those medals, all those top medalists from the Olympic Games are going to come back to the University of Oregon for the Prefontaine Classic on August 21st and 22nd. So you'll have an opportunity to see them win medals in Tokyo, and a few weeks later, see them all competing together at Hayward Field once more. It's going to be fantastic. But if you thought this summer was all that you needed to be excited about, it's going to get even better next year, as all of those athletes that you're watching compete for medals in Tokyo will be here at the University of Oregon competing in the World Championships. Think of the Olympic Games taking place this summer, take away all the other sports. That's what's coming to the University of Oregon next July, the first time that event has ever been held in the United States. If we could go ahead and switch to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about what can be imagined, what has been imagined for this beautiful new venue. If you've seen some of the photos, if you've seen some of the announcements that have come out from the University of Oregon, I think they've captured it really well. The design team has really thought about creating the world's first theater for the sport of track and field. It is going to be a tremendous stage for the world's greatest athletes to be able to demonstrate their athletic performances. And I think what this photo truly, truly captures is how close the athletes are going to be to the spectators. And that connection between the spectators and the athletes, you heard about it in the video. That's really what creates the magical atmosphere that has created all of the great performances that this venue has had for over 100 years at the University of Oregon. On the next slide, can see a really good example of some of that history of the connection. This is what it used to be in the first edition of Hayward Field, and it's going to be just like that in this new stadium. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. But if you're not a track and field fan, and I've been assured by university leadership that you're not allowed to get a diploma from the University of Oregon unless you do become a track and field fan, given how wonderful the history is here at the university. I think what the next slide will show why you really should tune in and care about the Olympic trials this year. This is a photo of Devin Allen from the 2016 Olympic trials. He had a phenomenal collegiate season that spring. He goes on to win the Olympic trials just a few weeks after competing in the Ncaa championships. He gets on a plane, he goes down to Rio to compete in the Olympic Games, and in his first Olympic Games, he makes the Olympic final and gets 5th place. You're going to have a direct connection to current Ducks making the Olympic team. But if we go to the next slide, that's not the only story that you might want to care. This is a picture again from the 2016 Olympic trials. We talked about current Ducks. That's Deja Stevens there on the right. Just like Devin Allen, she had a phenomenal track and field season. But one of her former teammates on the left, Jenna Prandini, had graduated and turned professional and came back. Both of them made the Olympic team in the women's 200 meters. You're going to have a combination of current Ducks and former Ducks back here on campus competing, and you can be assured that some of them are going to make the U.S. Olympic team. And if we go on to the final slide here for athletes, this is really, if you're not yet sold on why you should tune in and be following what's going on at the Olympic trials, this is the photo that's hopefully going to get that, because not only are Ducks going to be in contention to make the Olympic team, but as we see here in this photo, this is a Duck alum, Matthew Centrowitz. In 2016, he won the Olympic trials, just like Devin Allen, got on a plane, went down to Rio. He won the gold medal at 1,500 meters. That was the first time an American had won that event since 1908, a record-setting performance for a Duck. And I could have picked a number of other photos from 2016 of Duck alumni winning medals. So you're going to have real reasons and excitement to want to tune in if you're a fan of the University of Oregon. But if we can switch maybe to the last slide here, what I'll do is try to talk a little bit about what is the atmosphere and the environment that we're trying to create in staging the Olympic trials that's going to position not only the Ducks to make the Olympic team, but all the great American athletes that'll be vying for those spots. Like I think all of us have been dealing with over the past year, we can set some expectations that the Olympic trials this year will be different than it has been in the past. We are taking very seriously the safety of the athletes as a top priority and working closely with our partners at the US Olympic Committee and with USA Track and Field, and quite honestly, drawing upon the expertise from University of Oregon officials that have been managing the university community through this the past year. We've created a set of really very sound and very safe safety protocols for the athletes. So all of the athletes that are coming in to compete and their entourage of coaches and medical support staff will be going through a series of very strict COVID testing protocols. So not only prior to their arrival here, but once they get into the community, they will be tested consistently every 2 days to make sure that we're staying on top of anybody becoming infected. We're doing a lot this year to reduce interactions for the athletes, almost creating a little bit of a bubble experience for them where normally they wouldn't have that. So we're only allowing on each day of competition the athletes that are scheduled to compete on that day. Normally they would have a set of experiences where if they're not competing on that day, they could come into the stadium and watch the environment of what's coming on, but we're asking them not to do that this time so that they can be assured to be in the best position possible to make the Olympic team. All of the event staff that work most closely with the athletes during the Olympic trials, including the officials and the medical personnel, will all be vaccinated so that we can ensure that we've created an additional layer of protection and safety for the athletes. And that's all about, again, making sure that they're in the best position possible to pursue their Olympic dreams when they're competing at Hayward Field. But once they've made the Olympic team, we want to ensure that they return home safely and that they're able to perform at their highest once they get to Tokyo and have that magical experience at the Olympic Games. So things are definitely going to look a little different for the athletes, but it's also going to look a little bit different this year for the spectators. And this is an area in which I really wish that today I could tell you how it was going to work, because that would mean that my life has gotten an awful lot easier for the next couple of weeks. But the reality is that the conditions and the regulations on the ground here in Eugene are still changing and evolving and making it a little bit difficult to predict what we may need and may be able to do when the Olympic trials begin on June 18th. But we know a couple of things by working very closely with the University of Oregon officials and with the local and state public health officials. We know that with the new regulations that have been announced by the state of Oregon and the Center for Disease Control over the past 10 days, that we can anticipate now having about 5,000 spectators inside the stadium. That is considerably better than where we were about 6 weeks ago, when we were not even sure whether or not we'd be able to have spectators at the Olympic trials. We have our fingers crossed that the conditions are going to continue to improve, that the regulations may continue to evolve, and that hopefully perhaps we can involve even more than 5,000 spectators at the Olympic trials, but we're still probably a couple of weeks away from doing that. Those of you that may have been to the Olympic trials perhaps in 2008 or 2012 or 2016, you might have come down prior to the days of competition and taken advantage of our free public fan festival, where we had a whole food and beverage experience out on the fields that surround Hayward Field, or taking advantage with your family for boys and girls youth activities. Unfortunately, this year, in order to make sure that we're really creating the safest possible environment, not only for everybody that comes to the event, but obviously for the community that's hosting the event, we're just not going to be able to offer those programs this year. So while it'll look different, we're really anticipating that the theater of track and field that has been created at Hayward Field is going to create really amazing memories, not only for the athletes, but for the people that are inside the stadium watching it and elevating those athletic performances, but for everybody that perhaps is at home watching it on NBC. I'm sure that there are many of you that have a lot of questions, and I'll be looking forward to an opportunity to answer those, having given you kind of this brief overview of things for the Olympic trials. So thank you very much for sharing a little bit of insight about where we are and how excited we are to host this event for the 4th consecutive time. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Michael. It was wonderful just to get this glimpse into these exciting events and how we can at least, continue to dream as we watch on TV. So now I would like to invite Mr. Koronama and Mr. Nakamura to share some of the news and possibilities from Japan with us. Please let us know when you need us to start your videos.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Katie. I'm very surprised for the new Hayward here. When 20 years ago, I was on the campus, and I parked my car behind the Hayward Field and just walk around through the track and field and cross the Hayward Field to go to the classroom. So, but now it's still changed. I cannot go inside and go through every morning. So, okay, before I start Japan Ducks session, at this opportunity, I would like to thank all the great support for my University of Oregon Alumni Association and engagement team for the Japan Ducks. Thanks to that, you see the picture behind me. I hope you can see the picture behind me. That's the alumni party in 2019. Of course, this is before COVID era. You see the people smile. This is all generation of Ducks. Some of the couple new young students who is just about to fly to Eugene to join our school, and also in behind is some old people. I'm trying not to say old people, but some senior people that's so old generation of Ducks Japan have been together and to discuss and have been enjoy the time together. So this time I like to invite Takeshi, who is a great friend of mine. We spend the time together in Eugene. He is currently assembly member of the Shibuya Ward in Tokyo. So Takeshi, you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Takeshi need to unmute. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Takeshi Nakamura. Thank you for inviting this great opportunity. And I would like to share with you guys for, how the Japan prepare for this great event, Tokyo 2020 Games.
Okay, thank you, Takeshi. So next slide, please. Oh yeah, thank you. So current situation progressing in Tokyo to welcoming, sorry, the previous slide, please. Not this one, not yet, yeah, great, okay. So a called test events called Ready Steady Tokyo. So trial events has been already started, including track and fields and several events, and also Tochilari event study in go around Japan. However, there's arguments whether we should do or not should do for the Olympic Games. It's according to several media in Japan. Roughly, I would say 60% of Japanese people think we should cancel the Olympic Games. Well, it's good on well. But under Tokyo is currently under state of emergency. We're still restricting our activities to use the new cases and minimizing all the risks by the COVID-19. So thanks to the state of emergency, the new case is happening in Tokyo has been started going down, and since last week. So yesterday was 649 cases, which used to be more than 1,000 a couple of weeks ago. So started going down. Situation has been improved. But however, I want to invite Takeshi to discuss more about this. I'm wondering, COVID cases still, of course, compared to the United States, it's much lower, but we have new cases. And why Japanese government or Japanese still want to insist have the Tokyo Olympic Games? So Takeshi, do you want to explain a little bit about what is the ultimate goals or aims they have in the Tokyo Olympic Games?
Okay, thank you, Takuya. Well, from my side, please let me share the goal of the Tokyo 2020 Games and also on how the Japan want to take place this, the hosting this event solidly under this, COVID-19 circumstances. Well, first of all, our vision of the Olympic game is sport has the power to change the world and our future. And of course, the Tokyo 1964 games back in 50 more plus years ago, that we experienced that completely transformed Japan by this Olympic Games hosting. And our goal is to success this event, of course, and also that we have three core concepts of this, the game this time. One, achieving personal best. 2, unity in diversity. 3, connecting to tomorrow. For first one, our achieving personal best aims at striving your personal best. Through flawless preparation and execution, the Tokyo 2020 Games aim at to deliver the event where every athlete can realize their best performance and achieve their personal best. The world's best technologies will be adapted in developing competition venues and operating the games. And all Japanese citizens, including Olympic and Paralympic Games volunteers, will employ their utmost resourcefulness as host to welcome all athletes from around the world with the best Japanese hospitality, omotenashi. And for second one, unity in diversity, accepting one another. The Tokyo 2020 Games will foster a welcoming environment and raise awareness of the unity in diversity among citizens of the world. Well, coincidentally, diversity is also a main city concept of my town, Shibuya, Tokyo, where National Olympic Stadium exists in. Actually, my back picture is in a new stadium for this game. And of course, track and field games and held in this great newly built national stadium. Well, lastly, and a third, connecting to tomorrow, passing on legacy for the future. As noted in Vision Part, the Tokyo 1964 Games completely transformed Japan, enhanced the Japanese people awareness of the outside world, and sparkled the rapid growth of Japan's economy back in 1964. The 2020 Games will enable Japan, now a mature economy, to promote future changes throughout the world, even under this COVID-19 circumstances, and leave a positive legacy for future generations. That's the main concept. Those visions and concepts drive Japanese citizens to provide a perfect operation of the game. Well, now please watch the statement movie starring Naomi Osaka, professional tennis player. Please show the video.
Okay. Thank you, Takeshi. I didn't know there's such goals is behind. I'm a little embarrassed. I didn't know until today. So such. So eventually, if we manage to, minimize and risk all this safety, then having Tokyo Olympics in about 2 months' time. So how does the Tokyo Olympics look like? Are we gonna organize in Olympic Games? You wanna talk a little bit about this?
Well, let's see. Of course, basically speaking, it should have been held last year. So that in Japan, and the hardware is already set up and waiting for all the athletes and the guests from all over the world. But unfortunately, the circumstances of COVID-19 prevent us to, get this realized. So now we have to do what we have to do is to prevent the worst effect of the COVID-19, that we stop doing this. So we're all, they're ready for a safe operation of the game in 2 months to go. So unfortunately, we cannot accept all the guests physically from all over the world, but virtually speaking, and we can do spread out all the concepts and our aims for holding this event. So maybe that's all that we have to do. That's kind of situation.
Okay. So actually, we have prepared video about how the Tokyo Olympic Games. So
yeah,
next slide. Yeah.
Before that, actually,
Mm-hmm.
as everyone knows,
Sorry.
we Japan are also struggling with COVID-19, US as well, but we to maximize the prevent from the effect of the COVID-19, as I mentioned, and to do a safe operation of the games. Actually, in Japan, currently the government announces a state of emergency and are asking people to quarantine ourselves. Also, yesterday, IOC International Olympic Committee chairperson just commented to the media that the game is to be held even if Japan is under circumstances of the statement of emergency. So that's the current situation. So that's why the JOC, Japan Olympic Committee, has decided not to accept overseas visitors for the games physically, but hold under no audience in games as well. For the preparation of the games, as I mentioned too, the hardware is set up since last year and have been ready for welcoming all athletes in games at the stadiums and the game courses and the Olympic Village and so on. So as Takuya mentioned, we prepared another video for showing the overview of the venues of the games to understand how our concepts of the game are created, meaning heritage to urban future for 2 times of hosting opportunity of the Olympic Games. So please watch the.
Thank you, Takeshi. So yeah, I know how it is organized, but this is much more visual. I can more visibly understand how the Tokyo Olympic is so compactly organized. So hopefully that will help to mitigating and minimize all the COVID-19 risks for all the athletes and the coaches and everyone is coming to Tokyo. So yeah. And Takeshi, do you want to add some comments about that?
Well, yeah, as Takuya mentioned, we are very welcome for the old athletes from all over the world. Unfortunately, we can't accept all the visitors as an audiences, but still that we can share the really great dramatic moments from Tokyo to all over the world. I'm really looking forward to sharing this moment with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Takeshi. So it is not programming actually, but I happen to know one of the Japan decks who work for Olympics committee. So if you don't mind, Takako-san, do you want to unmute and introduce yourself and some comments? Oh, great. Perfect. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Takuya-san, to let me say hello to everyone here. I'm currently working for Tokyo Organizing Committee of Olympic and Paralympic Games. When it was announced last year that the games will be postponed for a year, we wondered what's going to happen, but here we are. Finally, we are 62 days away from the Olympic game times and 94 days away from the Paralympic Games. I know there are many opinions about hosting the games, but we are doing our best every day for the athletes to create the environment where they can safely demonstrate their abilities. There are still lots of things to be adjusted, but it's gonna get even faster from here. Please send your strong and warm thoughts to the athletes. And if you have any space in your heart, please send your smiles to Tokyo. Your support is greatly appreciated. And finally, we're looking forward to seeing you, some of the great Olympians and records born in this wonderful Hayward Field, which will lead us to Tokyo. Stay safe and healthy.
Okay, thank you very much, Takako-san. I just got a message from her last night, and I happen to know, so just invite her to talk. So I think it's about time to conclude our session. So I would say, the Takeshi said we will probably almost like got a green light for go ahead for the Olympic Games, but still final decision is belong to IOC, and nothing we can make a decision as a Japanese. But however, I feel that due to COVID-19, our world is so separated. Hopefully, next 2 months or so, we will somehow overcoming COVID-19's difficulties. Not completely, and probably very difficult to completely overcome the 2 months, but hopefully overcoming somehow. And by having Tokyo Olympic Games, our splits or hurts to be connected, it can be, united can be courage for, I think that's for future and for tomorrow, after COVID, after eventually we are overcoming the COVID-19. I think that to do so, we as Japanese do our best to prepare for our Olympic Games in 2 months' time. And I think that's a responsibility for Japanese and also residents in Japan for our world and for the future. Okay, thank you very much for everyone. So I will bring back to the Katie for Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Takuya-san, Takeshi-san, and also Takako-san, where you just reached out yesterday, and she's a duck. Yeah, welcome to the flock.
Yes,
I'm glad you could join us. So we have time now for question and answer. We've invited everyone to enter their questions into the chat. We've only gotten a few so far. So please, if you do have questions, put them in there. The first question we have is, the one that I think, would be inevitable and that everyone wants to know here. And I'm trying to bring it up so I can ask it exactly, because I was asked to ask this. Okay, so for Michael, do you have a general timeline for letting ticket holders know if they'll be able to attend the trials?
Well, the general timeline is very, very soon. So we had the ticketing plan ready to be announced, and then 10 days ago, the governor of Oregon changed the regulations governing what stadium capacity could be, which opened up new opportunities. And then everyone knows, at least in the United States, last Thursday, the CDC guidelines changed for vaccinated individuals. And the state of Oregon said that they would take a look at that and see what their changes and regulations would be. And they made those changes this past Tuesday. So we've now gone back and are reworking what is possible for spectators based on these new regulations. It's going to be better news for what's possible with spectators, and we anticipate making an announcement very, very soon.
Okay. And I actually, surprisingly, I do not see any other questions in the chat. So I think our next portion is to do our book giveaway. So we'll do that. But if you have, oh, okay, hold, we have a question. All of you who are excited to win books, wait one moment. To Takeshi-san, a question for you. Japan is known as a world leader in technology. What kind of technological advancements should we expect to see in Tokyo 2020?
Well, let's see. It's a kind of big question, but for the technologies, that every single technology is that's set up in the hardware and the software and both sides. So based on the current circumstances, is that we have to do that prevent the COVID-19 effects as much as possible. So in terms of this point, is that we honestly that dedicate the full energy for doing this. So maybe that's all I can say. So
okay, thank you. Did you have anything that you would add to that, either Takuya-san or Takako-san? No? Okay. All right. We did get one more question about the Japan Olympics. They wanted to make sure they understood from what you presented, that is the final decision. Does that rest with the International Olympic Committee?
Okay, John, yes, the final decision is made by IOC. Yes. Is that?
Okay, yeah, no, that was the question, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's a decision, yeah.
Okay.
Not the Japanese government can decide, yeah. Okay, that's.
Okay, and now I'm not seeing any further questions. Okay, so from here, we'll do our book giveaway. If anyone does have more questions, you can go ahead and send them in there as we're doing that portion. So I would like to start this off, we're going to give away 3 copies of the beautiful hardcover book, Hayward Field, Legends and Legacy, as you can see on your screen. If you win a copy, we'll send it to you, whether you're attending from Japan, US, anywhere in the world. And Rafe Beck, the executive director of the University of Oregon Alumni Association, will be announcing the winners. If your name is called, we'll ask you to unmute yourself and claim your prize. So welcome to you, Mr. Beck, and thank you for helping us to spread the joy at this event.
Thank you, Katie Jo, and I just want to extend my thanks to all of our speakers tonight, and also to the Japan Ducks for co-sponsoring this event with us. All right, we have a very scientific way of coming up with our winners. We had a random drawing here on our side, and I can't show you the drawing, but I do have the 3 winners' names. And so I am proud to say we will deliver books to Nikki Lake, to Doug Smith, and to Mariko Tomita. Congratulations, Nikki, Doug, and Mariko.
Great. So are all of you here? Can you unmute and claim that you're here to accept your books?
I believe I see all 3 of them in the participants list, so I think they're all on the line here today.
Great. Thank you for checking that for us, Ray.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, very excited. Thank you.
I've never won the lottery. So, yeah, this is Mariko. I've never won the lottery, so I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you again. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for all the help, everyone. It's a wonderful event today. Thank you very much.
Great.
I'm great. Thank you.
And having
Thank you so
attended,
much. Oh, I wasn't allowed to unmute earlier, so now I can unmute. Yes, thank you so much. I'm so excited. I really love Hayward Field, and I wish I could be there, but I'm so excited to see it from afar. Thank you again.
Awesome. Very welcome.
And this is Doug, having grown up in Eugene and attended the 72 and 76 Olympic trials, as well as the more recent versions. I'm really excited and just so thrilled with the new Hayward. So thank you for this opportunity.
Wonderful. Clearly the right 3 people are receiving these books.
Exactly, yes.
Back to you, Katie Jo.
Great. Thank you so much again, Ray, and congratulations to our winners. To those of you who did win, thank you, Marissa. For those of you who did win, please email us at engagement@uoregon.edu with your mailing address so we can send you your books. That email address is going to be posted in the chat to everyone too. So just send us an email with your address. So as we wrap up, I do have one more question, and I'm hoping that Michael, yes, he's still here. Okay. We do have a couple more questions I'm going to ask just really quickly before we move forward. So then these are about the Olympic trials. So the first one is there any chance that you will have a live feed of meet like an Autzen Stadium with limited seating so that people who only got tickets for a few days can watch the meet remotely on days that they don't have tickets? That you could charge, you could charge a certain fee for it. So that's question number 1.
That's a wonderful question. We did look at that and consider that, but we do anticipate fairly soon that when NBC announces their broadcast schedule, we expect that the amount of coverage that they are providing is unprecedented. They've never provided as much coverage of the Olympic trials as they'll be making available this year. It really just seemed to make much more sense for everybody to tune in through the NBC platforms and be able to watch it in the safety of their own homes.
Okay, great. And then the second question is, if I'm working as part of the TV coverage, will I be tested every other day? Have a vaccination requirement? So
if you're part of the NBC coverage or in other areas, it really is going to depend upon what your role is as to whether or not you will have testing requirements. So if you're working, for example, in areas in which athletes are going to be, then there are much more strict testing requirements and more frequent testing requirements. But if you're in a role for the Olympic trials that is perhaps in the stadium or in the areas just surrounding the stadium, then there will not be those testing requirements.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so that is all for our questions. As we wrap up, I would like to remind attendees who have a few minutes to stick around. We'll be showing a video that our Japan Ducks submitted of this year's cherry blossoms. But in closing, I'd like to once again thank our guests, TrackTown USA CEO Michael Reilly, Shibuya Ward Assembly Member Takeshi Nakamura, and the UOAA Japan Chapter President Takuya Kuronuma. You've provided some great information and insights to us today. You've allowed us to kind of re-spark some of our excitement about these things by sharing some of these exciting news and videos. And we really appreciate all you've shared to keep us hopeful and excited about the future of athletic events and travel.
Okay, thank you, Katie. I also say the few words. Thank you very much for Katie and all, as well as Kathleen and Lauren from our University of Oregon engagement team to facilitate this event. I just want to say the clap. I hope everyone can clap all this contribution to the team. So thank you for all attendance in this wonderful events. So at the end of the show, the event, we're gonna share this cherry blossom slideshow we made in April. You know, hopefully we can, all of you can come over to Japan to see the real cherry blossom. That's totally different from seeing in just a screen. So we work together to overcome the COVID-19, and soon we're gonna meet each other and hope to see you soon in Eugene or Japan. Until then, please stay safe and healthy. And I want to say a few words that's always motivated me to do anything. Let's say shodo and go Ducks.
Go Ducks.
Go Ducks. All right. Thank you very much.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, Mom.
content was exclusive to the program and is not yet available for public viewing. We now return you to the rest of the recorded program.